Imagine boarding a plane, excited for your trip, only to be singled out and humiliated for no reason. That's exactly what happened to a black woman whose peaceful journey turned into a nightmare when a fellow passenger's blatant racism escalated to her being unfairly kicked off the flight. But this isn't just a story of injustice, it's one of resilience and swift action. As the unfair treatment unfolded, she made one phone call that would change everything in a matter of minutes. What started as a moment of despair quickly turned into a powerful lesson about standing up for yourself and refusing to be silenced. In this story, we'll take you step by step through what happened, how this woman stood her ground, and the surprising way justice was served. Stay tuned, because the way this story unfolds will leave you speechless. As she sat quietly in her seat, the flight was buzzing with the usual chatter of passengers settling in. But then the man seated a row behind her started making comments, low at first, but impossible to ignore. He complained about certain people taking up space, his words dripping with disdain. She tried to brush it off, focusing on her phone, but his remarks grew louder and more pointed. Others began to notice, some looking uncomfortable, while others pretended nothing was happening. Then, out of nowhere, the man called over the flight attendant. His tone shifted to exaggerated concern as he accused her of being disruptive. Shocked, she calmly tried to explain that she hadn't done anything. But the crew seemed to take his word without question. Moments later, she was asked to leave the plane. Confused and humiliated, she stepped off, clutching her phone, and then she made that life-changing call. Standing outside the gate, her mind raced. How could this be happening? She replayed the incident in her head, but nothing made sense. The man's accusations were baseless, and yet they were enough to get her removed. Other passengers had seen what happened, but no one stepped up to defend her. She felt anger, hurt, and disbelief all at once. This wasn't just about her being kicked off the plane. It was about something much deeper, something far too common for people who look like her. With her heart pounding, she pulled out her phone. She knew she had to act quickly. She wasn't just going to let this slide. Dialing a number, she took a deep breath. On the other end of the line was someone who could help. She explained everything in detail, her voice steady but firm. What happened next would turn this situation upside down, and the man responsible had no idea what was coming. The call was brief but powerful. On the other end was someone with the authority to act, someone who understood the gravity of what had just happened. As she hung up, her emotions shifted from despair to determination. She stood near the gate, watching as passengers continued boarding the plane. The man who had started it all sat smugly in his seat, acting as though he'd won, but he didn't know what was coming. Minutes later, airport staff arrived, moving with urgency. They approached the flight crew first, pulling them aside for a tense conversation. The woman stood firm, silently observing as the mood in the boarding area shifted. People began whispering, eyes darting toward her, then toward the plane. The man's confidence started to waver as the staff entered the cabin and made their way directly to him. Something was clearly about to happen, but no one could have predicted just how quickly the tables were about to turn. As the staff approached the man, his confident demeanor cracked. He tried to play it off, insisting he had done nothing wrong, but their stern expressions told a different story. The murmurs in the cabin grew louder as passengers leaned in to watch. Just as he began to argue, another uniformed figure entered the plane, this time someone with an even higher rank. The tension was palpable, but then something unexpected happened. A few rows back, another passenger stood up. It was a woman who had witnessed everything from the start. Her voice rang clear as she called out the man for his behavior, recounting every hateful word he had said. Her testimony caught everyone off guard, including the flight crew, who now seemed unsure of their actions. The man stammered, trying to interrupt, but the damage was done. As more passengers chimed in, the focus shifted entirely. What started as one person's injustice was now unraveling into something much bigger, and the truth was finally starting to surface. The tension reached its peak as the airline staff confronted the man. Faced with multiple witnesses, he stumbled over his words, trying to downplay what he'd done. But it was too late. The passenger who had spoken up provided enough details to make it clear who was at fault. The crew, now realizing their mistake, turned to the woman they had unfairly removed. Apologies were offered, but she wasn't finished yet. Just as she was about to respond, her phone rang. It was the person she had called earlier. With a calm but firm tone, she explained what was happening, ensuring everyone around her could hear. The voice on the other end confirmed that actions were already in motion. Within moments, airport security arrived, heading straight for the man. He was escorted off the plane, his protests drowned out by the weight of the truth. As she reboarded the plane, passengers applauded, but she wasn't seeking attention, she just wanted fairness. What no one expected, however, was the final twist. Her call wasn't just to someone who could intervene, it was to a high-ranking official connected to the airline. This wasn't just about clearing her name. It was about ensuring no one else would face what she had endured.